Okay, Jimmie Johnson has joined us. Jimmie is the 5-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. He's our current points leader with 4 wins. One of those came here a few months back at Pocono. And this weekend he drives the number 48 Lowe's Plains Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmie, coming back to a place that you have won just back in June. You got a pretty cool paint scheme, too, that Plains, the new movie that's coming out. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, last year at Dover, you ran that Madagascar 3 paint scheme and got into victory lane. So you got to feel good about having that on your race car. At least I would, getting in, maybe trying to get into victory lane. But just talk about that, being able to have a different kind of look there on your race car this weekend too.
Yeah, excited for it for sure. And the Dover race earlier this year. I can't remember what we had on. Was it Madagascar 3? No. What was the other one we had on there? Was it 3? Yeah, that's right. I just didn't have a wig to wear this time. No, I won with 3. What was on the car earlier this year?
That was Dover last year.
But Dover this year, I had something on there too. You can tell it's really embedded in my mind. Anyway, I think they're cool. It's great to have them on the race car. It's my daughter excited, and the way I became a fan was going to the racetrack as a kid. And if we can capture young eyes and have them watch a race for whatever reason, if it's a cartoon that they enjoy or a movie from Disney that they enjoy, it's helpful. I think it's good for all of us. It's fun to have the car look different and everything that kind of spins off from it. And we've had very fast race cars when we've had the Disney movies on our race car. So excited for the opportunity. I think Dane Cook's going to be here this weekend, which will be fun. I'm sure he'll make some people smile and laugh. And from what I understand, the flyover is going to be exciting too with the plane from the movie. So all in all, just a fun way to tie it all in. I think it's good for the track, good for Lowe's, good for myself, good for NASCAR, and hopefully we get some new young fans out of it. That's what it was. Monsters U.
That's exactly what it was. Monsters University.
Where were you 5 minutes ago before I started all this? Oh, you're actually looking it up. Thank you.
All right. All right, we'll take questions now for Jimmie Johnson. We'll start here with David. We'll go to this young lady right here, and then we'll go to Jeff, and then Mike.
Hey, Jimmy, David Newton, ESPN.com over this way. Last 2 races, you guys dominated at Dover and then Kentucky. You came back to win the next week. Does that motivate you guys when you I don't say blow a race, but when you lose a race like that to come back? A lot of, the way you guys respond to stuff like that.
No, I mean, there's more frustration in it than anything. I mean, you hate to give away race wins for whatever reason, especially when you have a dominant car and whatever the mistake may be and where it comes from, driver or team. You just hate having that on your shoulders for the week following, and you're just eager to get on the track and get that behind you. It doesn't, for me, it hasn't brought any more focus or drive or meaning to the next event. It's in some ways some relief. It's something new to talk about, something new to put your mind on, and to move forward from there.
Let's go to this young lady right here, then Jeff, then Mike, then Ryan.
Kate Moss, CLNS Radio. Jimmie, you've been dominating this whole year in the points, and does that influence the way you feel when you actually go into the chase? Do you feel like you have the advantage, and does that influence, anything that your team does? Do they do anything differently, or do they just say we're doing it exactly the same?
It's nice to have the points lead. I think it sends a message to the garage area that we're good on all types of tracks, all types of situations. But through it all, I have a huge points lead right now, but I still have my eyes on 3 or 4 cars that I think will be, the guys to deal with in the chase. And I watch them and their performance and how they run, especially on chase tracks that we have a chance to race at, in the regular season, and form opinions through all of that. There is nothing negative to come from the points lead and having a big one. I think race wins sends a really strong message too, especially late in the regular season. And if we could win some races, that would be another very helpful thing for the 48 team. But when things change in September and you're seeded based on wins, 75 points we have now, right now we'd be tied with Matt. And I don't know, I guess it'd be 40 points to the, 20 points to the lowest person, and we're 75 up now. So, it just shrinks so quick. And getting into the chase, no matter how dominant you are, your points lead is never going to be a 75-point spread. So, I'm enjoying life now, but I know things are going to get really intense here in 6-8 weeks, whatever it is.
Go ahead, Jeff. We'll go to Mike, then to Woody.
Hey, Jimmy, Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. An old debate in racing is, are drivers athletes? And on a typical weekend, you guys are at the track for 3 consecutive days, and I'm assuming you don't have a treadmill in your motor coach. So what do you and your fellow competitors do to stay in shape on long weekends other than get behind the wheel of the race car?
I think a lot of us focus during the week. In Monday to Thursday, our travel day is when the more structured workout routine, and most of us have a trainer that we work with or nutritionists. If it's your own individual group of people you work with or someone that the team uses for the pit crew guys. For myself, when I get to the track on the weekends, I still stay active. I mean, I got up this morning and ran 6. Tomorrow I'm going to ride. It's just for fun. I mean, just to stay active. Tomorrow's ride, thanks, sir. Tomorrow's ride is a lot of fun. There's a group of probably, it depends, but 8 to 15 guys that ride, and the majority of them are all crew members. So we have our bikes here, and we'll load up and ride. And it's a pretty hilly terrain around here, so we'll ride. I think this ride's about 50 miles and 5,000 feet of climbing. We'll ride on a Saturday. So, but that again, it's not a killer pace. We're not trying to race. We're just riding along, and if we see a little country store, we'll stop and grab a Gatorade and a snack and talk a little bit and head off to the next spot. So it's really a fun way to burn some calories, stay fit, and get through the afternoon and not sit in the motorhome on a weekend and eat way too many calories watching television.
We'll go Mike. We'll go Woody. Scott.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. You're clearly in a really good spot standings-wise. How do you use the next 6 weeks? Do you go after those wins and those points, or can you guys use those 6 races to kind of play around with the car and experiment, that sort of thing?
Honestly, we need to do both. We have great speed now, but in 2 months' time, a lot can change. So if the chase started now, we'd probably be more conservative and just refine the package that we have now. But you can't give the garage 2 months; things are going to change too much. So we'll try to manage both. I think the closer we get to the chase, the importance definitely is on winning. But top 3s is really, top 5s is really the motivation there, and to get into that rhythm. Feel the pressure from a driver's standpoint to perform each week, and also for the pit crew on pit road. There's just a mental advantage, I believe, if you're able to live in that top 3 world week in and week out. That's the world you have to be in to win the championship. And if you're running 15th, 18th, and then expect to handle all forms of pressure when the chase starts, I don't think that's all that possible.
We'll go to Woody, Scott, and then David Caravello. Go ahead, Woody in the back.
Woody Kane with MRN. With Watkins Glen coming up, I just wanted to take you back to last year. You finished 3rd there, but the end of that thing was just so crazy, and your memories of the end of that race, and just generally speaking, why road courses have gotten so crazy.
Yeah, they were too far ahead for me to really see. My spotters around the racetrack kept encouraging me to stay on the road and hurry up because the leaders were going to crash and wreck. And when I saw the video, now I understand why. I mean, it was really exciting. Final lap or so. I think that we've all become very comfortable behind the wheels of these cars on the road courses. When a so-called ringer comes in, I'm not sure if they really run the top 10 any longer. All the oval specialists have worked very hard to understand road course racing, and the teams have as well. And it's a chance for a win, and I think guys are very hungry to win on road courses because there's only 2 a year. And we all want to be well-balanced racers. We all want that, and out of the hat, that W in the win column that you've won on a road course. I know that I did, and I still want more. I mean, I would love to have more than just one, and hopefully we can get one at the Glen.
Let's go down here to Scott. Then we'll go David Caravello, Marty Smith, Steve Richards.
Scott Walsh from the Scranton Times-Tribune. Jimmy, you're one of 6 guys who have swept the season races here at Pocono. You had a sweep at Daytona this year. What does it take to sweep races, especially since they're so spaced apart? You're not running back-to-back weeks. And what is going to be different about this race as opposed to 8 weeks ago here?
Pocono to me has always been a track that I felt sweep is possible and easier to have a sweep here than other tracks, just due to the calendar. There's not a lot of time between the first race and the second race. Things don't change a ton. Track doesn't change a ton, although it does lose some grip later in the season. But with the cool temps this weekend, I'm not sure it's going to be much different than what we had in the spring. So, the Daytona sweep, I would say, is probably the hardest one to get. When you look at restrictor plate racing in the draft and how many cars really have a shot to win, I think the odds shift the other way pretty far. For a while there, I think the first handful of years of my career, we were able to sweep each year, and we had a nice consecutive streak going, and then that came to an end. But I've personally enjoyed sweeps. They've meant a lot to me, and happy that I have one this year, and it'd be awesome to have 2 sweeps in a year if that's possible this weekend.
We'll go to David Caravello, Marty Smith, Bob Pockers.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. Jimmie, I see you're not using the same chassis for Pocono and Indianapolis, but how much do you lean on one for the other, given the similarity between the 2 racetracks in parts?
Yeah, we took the race-winning car from here to Indy, and finishing where we did, we just didn't get the car back in time to turn around and bring it here. We would have loved to brought that race car here, but we feel like in today's world, in the rules and the templates and everything that it takes to bring a race car to the track today, it's much easier to repeat and bring a car as good, if not better, than 5-6 years ago, especially the Gen 4 race car. It was very tough to repeat with those cars, and we definitely did have a favorite there, but anymore I can't tell the difference. I know that we have our latest package on this car, and it shouldn't be a lot different than what we had before.
Let's go Marty Smith, Bob Pockris, Dustin Long.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Johnson, hi.
Hey.
I don't remember what my question is now. Oh yeah, people use the word. People are using the word dominant often to describe your season
right now.
What?
I can't even take you seriously right now. Keep going though.
Yeah, I don't take you seriously very often either. People are using the word dominant often this year to describe your season. How would you compare your competitiveness and speed every weekend to the best seasons you've had to date?
Yeah, I feel like the team, the cars, our racing ability, the things needed to be dominant, it's right there, if not a touch ahead of other year. My best year, where I think I won 10 races. The difference is execution. We've left races sitting on the table. So we have the foundation of our most dominant year, but finishing it off and executing, we've given up some races this year, and that'd be the only difference in it. Or the only thing that would kind of pull it back down.
Bob Pockris, Dustin Long, and finish with Dan Gelston.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Some talk last week about passing versus racing and what makes a good race. I'm curious from a driver standpoint, how much more frantic, if it is more frantic, for a driver once you kind of lose all the track position that you've had all day?
It gets really frantic, to be honest with you, especially if you haven't been in traffic throughout the day. And you've set your car up to run in clean air. Typically, you can have the car a lot freer when you have the whole racetrack to yourself and solid, clean, consistent air on the car. For me, when I got in traffic last week, my car would get a lot looser. And I was already on the free side and was already struggling up off the corner. But having the lead like we did, clean air, stable air, I could really use that to my advantage. But lap traffic was a struggle, and then trying to run Ryan down at the end was tough, and obviously didn't get there. But and I only fell to second, and I'm not saying that's why I didn't catch Ryan, but if you go from first to 15th, it's a game changer. I mean, your car drives so different, especially if you run up front for an adjustment or two, and you fall back. It is a totally different world deep in traffic.
Okay, Dustin Long, and finish with Dan Gelston.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Jimmie, you guys have, the organization saved your NASCAR test till the latter part of the season.
obviously you've been testing throughout at different points of the year, but saving the test for this point, what's the challenge, or is there a fear of too much work for these guys at the latter part of the season? Obviously, the key is keeping everybody fresh so you don't leave those races on the table. What's the balance in doing that, and how you feel like, where do you feel like that's going to help you the most as you guys do these tests upcoming?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we're definitely going to work our guys hard, and you have to, build great depth in your team so that you can let your road crew guys sit home while the team goes and tests. And that's one thing we've been working hard on, to make sure that we don't have our race day road crew guys just getting worked to the bone. Although some cross over and go regardless, we can't get around that. But what really changes it this year and makes it less specific per team is the rules. You have to test it as an organization. So to get all 4 drivers and crew chiefs to agree on what are the most important tracks, we all have to compromise a little bit. Strategically, we wanted to save some tests around the end of the regular season in case we had someone on the fence there and needed to get them into the chase. So we've been preserving our tests, waiting for the right strategy, and trying to think what's best for the company, what gives the company the best opportunity to win a championship. And clearly testing at Chase tracks is the best thing for that. But it will put a strain on our crew, and we've been trying to build depth. It's especially Chad's side of things. He's believed in depth for a long time, and we can go look at our over-the-wall crew and see what he has done there. And we have the same thing going on in the shop. So I feel, as far as the 48 team goes, it's going to be tough, but the guys are excited for it, and we do have some depth to get some rest.
Final question, Dan Gelston.
Dan Gelston, Associated Press. 2 questions. First, Jimmie, was there any extra work done on pit stops this week or anything after kind of the last one didn't go so well on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of. I talked to the guys Sunday night, and just asked them to enjoy the pain, let it sit there, let it hurt, let it bother you. But Monday morning, when they started hitting lug nuts and jacking the car and going through their routine, that it was out of their mind. I asked them also to be fearless when they hopped off the wall this weekend and just do their jobs. The worst thing any of us can do that have to go out and perform is to carry something in the back of your mind mentally. That will do more damage than you could ever imagine. So, we had some great conversations Sunday evening. The guys had solid stops all week, and I didn't hear of anything additional. It was just kind of a normal week for the guys.
And when you win so much and you run up front so much, does it make the tough losses easier to forget about and move on from than, say, a back of the pack driver who might have had this might have been his only chance to win, for example?
It's hard to say. Indy means so much to everybody. That one, I think that one stings universally. Doesn't matter if you're regular up front or wherever you run. But for me, my eye has always been on the big prize, and that's the championship. And the comments I made following the race were sincere in how I felt because of where my viewpoint is. I'm not going to make a comment that's going to tear down my race team and prevent us from winning the big prize, winning the championship. So, and that's the way we all think it 48. So, eye on the big prize. It absolutely stung. It wasn't fun for any of us, but the best thing we could do is get back to our jobs, and fortunately or unfortunately, forget about Indy and move on. The faster we move on from that, the better we're going to do here.